Today is Friday, January 17th, and the Supreme Court made a decision on TikTok. According to reports, quote, the Supreme Court upheld a law banning TikTok on national security grounds if its Chinese parent company ByteDance does not sell the app by Sunday, citing concerns over data collection practices and relationship with a foreign adversary. The law was passed by Congress and signed by President Biden, end quote. If national security was the reason why the court upheld the ban, to me it is what it is. What I find funny is many people forgot whose idea it was to ban TikTok. New York Senator Charles Schumer tweeted that he will work with the incoming Trump administration in regards to the ban. How is that possible when it was Trump who wanted to ban TikTok? We have proof that on August 1st, 2020, Trump made the announcement during his first term that he wants to ban TikTok. Again, he got what he wanted. Now, I understand that many people who use TikTok and also a lot of TikTok entrepreneurs are upset about this decision. But guess what, America? We voted for Trump. I personally never made money on TikTok, so for me, it's just one less social media app. And I am at a point in my life where I am very picky when it comes to downloading social media apps, because if you're not, you will spend too much time every day on them. I understand why many small companies are now hiring social media managers. That's an actual job title. Because if you spend so much time on those apps, you can easily spend 30 to 50 hours a week on social media alone. This January is shaping up to be a busy, memorable January in terms of national news and politics. And I have a theory that it's because the Year of the Dragon is going out as loudly as possible. The Year of the Dragon ends on January 28th, and the Year of the Snake starts on January 29th. I was not looking forward to 2025 anyway, but it occurred to me that we are saying goodbye to a flying reptile and saying hello to a crawling reptile. Yikes. So, since this is my last TikTok post, I will say this. Last week, many of us had to say goodbye to President Carter. His death was no surprise because of his advanced age, but for those who remember Carter's humanitarian work, watching his funeral on TV was a sad experience. And then our current vice president took her ego out of the equation and did her duty in presiding over the certification of the votes on January 6th. She was able to do her duty in peace and safety, unlike Mike Pence 4 years ago. Trump never had to do what our current VP and what Mike Pence did 4 years ago. Why? Because Trump never held a public office prior to 2016. At the time President Biden is leaving office, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense has proven in the congressional hearings what many of us critical thinking American citizens already figured out. Like Trump, this nominee is not qualified to lead a department that has access to nuclear weapons and a multi-billion-dollar budget. I must admit, though, Hegseth is one handsome guy. At the time President Biden is leaving office, there are 3 fires simultaneously burning down many neighborhoods in Southern California. Why am I worried? I live in New York City, so why am I worried? Because if the past predicts the future, during the California wildfires of 2018, Trump blamed the state government for the mismanagement of the forests. There is talk he blames these fires this month on the current mayor of Los Angeles. So from one perspective, the Supreme Court upholding the ban on TikTok is a distraction. President Biden mentioned in his farewell speech that he spent 50 years of his life in public service. He made some mistakes, but there were things that he got right. Inflation is a problem, I agree, but 16 million new jobs were created. At a time when a DEI hire is seen in a negative way as a free ticket you don't have to earn, I want to thank President Biden for a few things. I want to thank him for being VP to the first Black American president this country ever had. I want to thank him for choosing the first female VP, the first VP of color. I want to thank him for nominating the first Black female judge to the Supreme Court. I want to thank him for nominating the first Native American woman to be the Secretary of the Interior. I want to thank him for nominating the first openly gay cabinet member to the office of the Secretary of Transportation, because qualified representation matters. Why am I mentioning his cabinet? Because, according to my research, President Biden is the first president since Ronald Reagan in 1981 to have all of his original cabinet secretary nominees confirmed to their posts. Because Trump's lack of qualifications before his first term led to a high turnover rate in his first administration. But because of that high turnover rate, this time around, Trump's goal is to fill his cabinet with billionaires and or people who are loyal to him, regardless of whether or not they are qualified for these posts. When we have Trump's second term to look forward to, that means it pays to be the popular rich bully. That means it is okay to ignore a person's criminal record. 34 felony counts, everybody. 34 felony counts. And that is unfair to someone like me who has always been a law-abiding citizen. So to me, Michelle Obama does not have to attend Trump's inauguration, and she doesn't have to explain anything to anybody. Keep in mind, Trump never conceded back in November 2020. And I don't have to accept the fact that Trump got his way again. I did my duty. When I went to vote on election day, my vote was based on me using critical thinking skills, doing my research, and reading everything I could about everyone's track record. So no, I will never be okay with the fact that Kamala Harris will not be the next president, because even though I am a Black American woman, I did not vote for Harris because she is a woman. I voted for her because of her qualifications. And while I am at it, I want to say thank you to the 94% of Black women and the 75% of Black men who voted for Harris. Langston Hughes wrote a century ago, "Beautiful are the souls of my people." Well, the souls of my people are still beautiful. White slave owners wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. But it was the souls of Black folk that made sure this country lived up to the ideals written in those documents. From Dred Scott filing a lawsuit against Sanford and petitioning his freedom, to Dr. King's non-violent protests, to Obama signing into law the Affordable Care Act. I will be paying attention to what Trump does while in office, because the bad news is coming, and I expect these next 4 years to be a very bumpy ride. So, happy Dr. King Day, everyone, as ironic as that may sound. And if you want to find me, you can find me on YouTube at MJ Burgess and at Nightglow Entertainment.